We knew Dragon Age the Veilguard sold extremely poorly, and of course now we have confirmation from EA that this was a complete disaster for the franchise. They were counting on this for Bioware. This was going to float the company, and it's already having massive implications, which we'll get into in just a moment. Please smash that like and subscribe button as we join the community here and talk about everything going on in gaming, especially when it comes to fantasy and the like. Now, I am a comic creator, and I've got a brand new graphic novel out. It's on Fund My Comic today. It's closing today. We're going to close this out on my live stream at 4 p.m. Pacific, so make sure to join us there and say hi. Love to hear from all you guys. And grab this book. It's a 66-page graphic novel, Space Marines fighting bug monsters, lots of fun, good heroic action. It would make a great video game, to be honest, and you can get this in the description below. Support independent art away from these companies that are just destroying these franchises. Thank you so much for the support so far. Huge, huge sales, and I appreciate you for being here. Electronic Arts confirmed that BioWare's Dragon Age the Veilguard missed sales expectation by nearly 50%, while significantly adjusting its expectations for the third quarter downward. This is going to be a big problem for them. In a press release, EA detailed that much of its business underperformed during its live services, where it noted projects in a mid-single-digit decline after previously anticipating mid-single-digit growth. That's a big swing, guys, because when you look at that swing, that's about 20%. When you have 20% off projections, that's like sink a company bad. Next, it noted that the global football division experienced a slowdown as early momentum in the fiscal third quarter did not sustain through the end. As a result, EA revises its outlook for global football to end the fiscal year down mid-single digit at the midpoint on a new outlook. Finally, it shared that Dragon Age the Veilguard missed expectations by nearly 50%. Ouch, this is disaster. Separately, Dragon Age engaged approximately 1.5 million players during the quarter, down nearly 50% from the company's expectations. Now, they needed about 5 million for this to break even from what we kind of did the math on before. This is a huge, huge disaster. And with the fact that they knew this was going down, they're not going to even do downloadable content, which is a lot of the model for where they make a lot of money on the back end as well. This game's just going to sink, and it just destroys this entire franchise, is what it actually comes down to as a failure. That's absolutely a disaster for Dragon Age. Given all this, EA announced it was reducing its expected net bookings to $2.215 billion for the third quarter, between a range of $7 billion and $7.15 billion for the entire fiscal year of 2025. It shared its net revenue will likely come in at $1.883 billion. In the company's Q2 2025 results press release, it predicted it would have net bookings of between $2.4 billion and $2.5 billion, meaning it missed its bookings by almost 8%. As its yearly forecast, it's previously noted that between $7.5 billion and $7.8 billion, which it missed expectations by 6.7% and up to 8.3%. EA previously expected net revenue would be between $1.8 billion and $2.025 billion. The CEO previously shared his belief Dragon Age had breakout potential, noted how it underperformed. He said during Q3, we continue to deliver high-quality games. Oh, yes, they loved saying this, the corporate speak, and experience across our portfolio. However, Dragon Age and EA Sports FC 25 underperformed our net bookings with expectations. Big deal. These the football stuff does a lot bigger than any of this, and that's really where they took a big hit. Wilson went on to note the company was expecting to salvage FC 25, but made no mention of future plans for Dragon Age, nor its developer Bioware. Oops. This month, our teams delivered a comprehensive gameplay refresh in addition to our annual Team of the Year update for FC 2025, and positive player feedback and early results are encouraging. We remain confident in our long-term strategy and expect a growth in fiscal year 2026 as we execute against a pipeline. Interesting stuff right there. But no mention of Dragon Age and no mention of BioWare. Now, we know that they are cutting Dragon Age completely. The studios talked about how they are just leaving it behind them. We know that the director, the man pretending to be a woman, Corinne Bush or whatever, just flounced from the company, which looks like there's going to be layoffs coming in before all this stuff. And that's exactly what's happening. There are now reports that Dragon Age the Veilguard is reporting that EA is cutting BioWare staff. Now, they're going to be moving on to Mass Effect, they said. This is going to be their last gasp, guys, because once Mass Effect fails, and I'm going to predict it's going to be even worse than Andromeda. Oh, my gosh. If you remember when Andromeda came out and just the disaster that they put into that game, just how bad it looked, This is going to be worse because people have gotten more woke as it's gone along, and you know exactly what happens to these types of settings when this type of thing happens. So here's what's going on right with EA and the layoffs. So executive producer Mark Darr reported in a recent video that EA has begun cutting Bioware staff, relocating them to other studios in the company. As part of his video, he discussed BioWare's upcoming Mass Effect game, said Mass Effect isn't ready to suddenly have a team of 250, 300 people working on it. In the past, when BioWare was toying with being just one project, like on Anthem, like on the Veilguard, that project was up and running at full speed, so it was able to suck every available resource. Sucking every available resource is exactly what Dragon Age did. It had enough existing infrastructure that it was able to absorb everything, he said. So he continued, so that's not exactly what's happening. You see, this is when you go on people's social media profiles, people who worked on Dragon Age the Veilguard. Some of them are moving over to Mass Effect, and some of them are moving into other parts of EA because Mass Effect isn't ready for them. And that's going to be a ways off. In the past, the plan, this many irons in a fire strategy, was to make sure there was always something for people to do, that there was work to be done. On one side effect of that, of course, was that you were always slightly out of balance. You would end up being short. And in the early days, the solution was to grow. In the latter days, the consumption phase was to eat all other projects. He then shared, but now there isn't things for people to do. That's not a good thing. And that's a good thing. There is a need to find other work within the rest of EA organization while Mass Effect team figures out what Mass Effect is doing, figures out the structure, and then gets ready to ramp up to a much bigger team size. And this might be great because what it means is that BioWare, for the first time ever, is able to singularly focus on a single project, is able to put all of its attention onto a single project, is able to put everything it has towards a single goal, which is making the best Mass Effect it possibly can. Oh my gosh. However, he then noted it remains to be seen whether or not BioWare will be able to get its people back when it looks for them. When it's ready, wants to add people, if those people will be close at hand, if they will be easily removed from where they are being temporarily placed. And there's a couple of reasons that might prove difficult. The first is that it's hard to let go of people. If I loan a level artist to another project within the EA organization, unless that project is shipped at a conveniently perfect time, they still probably need that level artist. They're integrated into their planning. The level is running slightly behind. They need someone to fix bugs, whatever. It's hard to give someone up. It's very difficult for projects to release people before they shipped. And if they aren't shipping, it's going to be hard to get people back. Next, he's noted, the other problem is potentially the people themselves. If I am a BioWare employee, I'm temporarily on a big head kart racing game. Maybe I love that big head kart racing game. Maybe I want to stay on that project. So when Mass Effect comes looking to pull me back, maybe I say no. Maybe I try to switch over to this permanently other project. Now, this is not just happening here at this point. There's going to be big layoffs coming very, very soon. We're seeing that even more are happening. Bethesda is actually shutting down more studios on their end. These bloated AAA studios have massive problems, and they're not going to be able to just move all of these people over to different projects within EA. Even a big company like EA doesn't have the resources to keep everybody, especially when the games are dead and there's no downloadable expansions coming. And BioWare is just in this spot where they've lost a ton of money. They know this. They have to appease investors, and therefore they do have to cut costs. It's not just going to be a shifting of people to other projects on that level. Dragon Age really was the most big disaster we probably saw. I mean, not quite as big as Suicide Squad killed the Justice League for Warner Brothers and Rocksteady, but very, very close on that level, or Conquered for that matter. Because, when you have something that's this big of a failure, and I know 1.5 million just on the surface doesn't sound like a failure, but the amount that's put into this kind of thing, like I said, it's a company sinking level event. It's huge, and I really think that they're trying to just beg and plead with Mass Effect right now and just hope that that's going to carry their entire existence as BioWare at this point. But we'll see what happens because BioWare has just had completely terrible release after terrible release in recent years. I don't think gamers are very excited for any franchise that's coming up, and I don't think Mass Effect is going to be one that can save them. What do you think, guys? Do you think this is interesting stuff? Do you think that Mass Effect will be good, bad, ugly? Leave a comment. Let me know. Love to hear from you. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us for our stream tonight as we close out the Emerald Array graphic novel, guys. This is good stuff. We are just moving on project after project, making more comics. It's what I love to do, guys. If you don't know, I'm extremely prolific, and it's really good to be part of a fan of this independent fiction over here because we're just moving and shaking this industry. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. It's in the description below. Thank you guys so much for backing, and we'll be back soon.